Now Darwin says, and who could disagree, that given that they're all helping one another, this population is going to have more offspring than this population. That's a simple observation. It will be growing much more quickly than this one, which will be growing more slowly. And so, over time, this one, this population, in a numerical sense, will dominate this. Darwin hasn't managed, that argument doesn't argue that this will become extinct as such, right? But since this will be numerically predominant, and a shock, a negative shock, is more likely to make this group actually go downright extinct, isn't it, than this one, because this will be more numerically dominant. Okay? So by this sorts of arguments, Darwin felt he had no problems in reconciling the frequently observed altruistic behaviour of animals with his notion of natural selection. But Darwin hadn't read his Mansur Olson, and modern Darwinists or neo-Darwinists find this explanation of altruistic behaviour unsatisfactory. So, what's the defect of that apparently plausible explanation? What's the fly in the ointment of any group benefit justification of group benefit maximising behaviour? It's the defector, isn't it? The defector. He who free rides on the other. We could imagine in a population like that, they're more than imagine, it's a secret, central piece of Darwin's theory, that there'll be a bit of variation, won't there? That one of these songbirds in this population will be born as a defector. It's called a negative defector. They are one member of this population who doesn't cooperate. All the others are helping this person is helping none of the other songbirds. This is a songbird who receives but doesn't give. Now I ask you, what's going to be the number of descendants of this songbird compared to the other songbirds? It's going to be greater, isn't it? This will have more numerous descendants than these, because it is free riding, if you like, on the cooperation of the others. It's receiving, that's good for it, but it's not giving. Okay? It's like receiving, spending, but not being taxed. It must be more numerous in its progeny. And it will continue to be more numerous. As long as there are some songbirds who are altruists, the non-altruists are to some degree taking without giving, and therefore will be more prolific in their breeding than those who are giving, and indeed without a sense receiving. So the non-cooperators will dominate over the cooperators. So Darwin's attempt to justify altruistic behaviour by its group benefit doesn't succeed. As a codicil, we might ask ourselves, well, how is it that we have altruistic behaviour then? Well, we don't. Not really, says the neo-Darwinist. The object of selection, and you may be familiar with the answer, is the gene, not the individual. Okay? So when a parent helps a child, it's the gene of the parent helping the same gene in their children. So it's not altruism at all. Okay? It's the same gene, just sort of helping itself, if I would put it that way. So altruism is explained through genes being shared amongst the kin group, and kin group members, by being altruistic to other kin group members, it's just genes of the kin group assisting themselves, if I could put it that. But that's by way of cause. Let's now go on to question 3. This is very like the example we gave in class. Consider an import competing industry, but now it's just as opposed to 2 firms, A and B, both of which produce just one input output. And the government imposes a tariff. So the cost of the goods is the same as the world price, but there are no profits, of course. But fortunately for them, the government imposes a tariff. The political process is such that the rate of tariff depends on lobbying of each firm. So we suppose the tariff is supposed to be 2 firms, A and B. The lobby spend of A or lowercase a, lobby spend of B or lowercase b. And we're going to suppose that the tariff depends on the lobby spend of A plus the lobby spend of B. But you can see, generally speaking, d tau dA is not equal to d tau dB. Okay? In other words, generally speaking, they're not perfect substitutes. The lobby dollar of one firm versus a lobby dollar of the other. We could compare this to what we were assuming in class. In class, the tariff was just the aggregate lobby spend, which I think in lectures I just called the L. The aggregate lobby spend, and the spend of one firm was a perfect substitute for the spend of another. Now that assumption, which we made in lectures, certainly makes for an easy exposition of the model, but it's a highly special model, and it requires special circumstances for it to provide an equilibrium. This is a more general model, so let's have a look at this more general model, see to what extent the conclusions of this special model carry over. So, derive an expression for the marginal productivity of lobbying for each firm. I really should have said marginal productivity. I like the word. The profit, can I call that lowercase pi, of A, is equal to the tariff. Remember, there's still one unit, and the gap between price and cost is just the tariff by assumption. That's the profit of A, isn't it? That's their income, that's their expense and spending. And obviously we know that is equal, we know what it is, 2A minus A squared over 2 plus 2B minus B squared over 2, that's 2, minus A. So we want to know, what's the marginal profit of spending another dollar of A? Well, quick calculation. Oh, that's 2. Oh, that's minus A. Oh, we have to derive this to this minus 1. Okay. For B, not surprisingly, it's going to be symmetric, isn't it? The profit of B is equal to tau minus B, which is equal to B, which is equal to 2A minus A squared over 2 plus 2B minus B squared over 2 minus B. And we know that d pi B, d lowercase b, is equal to 2 minus b minus 1. Okay? Part 2. What amount of lobby spend will maximise A's profit and B's? Well, maximisation, we normally think of finding the stationary point, don't we? So we'll put that equal to 0. And we'll put that equal to 0. A is equal to 1. B is equal to 1. Simple. That appears to be the profit maximising lobby spend of each firm. But what is the increment in the profit of the two firms together of A spending another dollar at this spending pattern point? So what is the pi A plus pi B? What's the derivative of that with respect to A, evaluated at A is equal to 1? Well, we see that pi A plus pi B, total profits, that's just 2tr minus A minus B. That's 2 outside of minus A minus B. Let's derive that now with respect to what we get. Three minus A quite right. Oh, that should be 2A. 3 minus 2A. Oh, at A is equal to 1. That's 1. That's positive. In other words, if A spent another $1 at this point, if A spent another $1 at that point, the profits of the two firms would increase. A's wouldn't. We know that's 0. But the two firms, profits of the two firms together would increase. It's symmetrical too, so if B spent another $1, we could infer the same, couldn't we? Because it's symmetrical. We could also infer that d pi A plus pi B, d B would equal 1, is therefore positive. So wouldn't there be cooperation between our two firms? Both spend an extra $1, the profits of both have to rise. And indeed that is the case. And part 3 simply just drives that home. So we're now asked to consider the profit maximisation problem under the assumption that, well, the two firms now coordinate as if it's just one firm with two instruments, A, lowercase a, and lowercase b. Okay, well, we can do that. So we move on to part 3. We want to maximise pi A plus pi B, and our two instruments now are A and B. And we know that pi A and pi B is equal to tau minus A plus tau minus B, and that is equal to 2 tau minus A minus B. That is equal to 2 outside of, oh, what's tau? We know it. It's 2A minus A squared over 2 plus, what's, no, 2B minus B squared over 2 minus A minus B. So let's now maximise that with respect to our two instruments. We've already done this, haven't we? Really? d pi A, d pi B, dA is equal to 2 outside of 2 minus A minus 1 is equal to 0, and correspondingly d pi A plus pi B times dB is equal to 2 outside of, oh, we're now deriving with respect to B, aren't we? Minus B minus 1, that is equal to 2. And you can see what that means, A is equal to 1.5, B is equal to 1.5. So that is the group profit maximising behaviour. The two firms in spending only one aren't spending enough. Just a little check. Why don't we just check what pi A's profits are when A is equal to 1.5, which is equal to B? Why don't we just check that? Okay, well we know that's tau minus A. We know that is, what's tau? We know what it is. It's 2A minus A squared over 2 minus A. Oh, and I forgot about the B's. B contributes to the tau, which gives me 2B minus B squared over 2 minus A. Well, we want to evaluate that at 1.5. Oh, okay, well 2 times 1.5 minus 1.5 squared over 2 plus 2, oh, B is also 1.5, minus B squared is 1.5 squared, 1 over 2, oh, minus 1.5. Oh, okay, well I can see a lot of 2's here. I can see two 1.5s, so that's 3. And I can see a 1.5 squared divided by 2 and another over here. Oh, okay, so there's like minus 1.5 squared, isn't it? I'm not happy with it actually. Why am I happy? Well, have we figured out what B's profit actually is over here before? Well, pi A is equal to tau minus A. Okay, that's equal to 2A minus A squared over 2 minus A. Oh, sorry, plus 2B minus B squared over 2 minus A. Right. Yeah, okay. So that is, A is equal to 1, that's 2. Oh, that's minus 1 over 2. But that's 2. Minus 1 over 2. Minus 1. What does that equal? 2. If I'm not mistaken. A is equal to 2.
Shouldn't that 3 be 6?
That's it. Thank you. Thank you. Brilliant. So, what have we got here? We've got 6. Oh, what's 1.5 squared? Well, that's like 9 over 4, isn't it? Minus 3 over 2. That's 4.5. Minus 1 1/8. That's too much. I'm not functioning here. What's going? Three squared is 9, 2 squared is 4. Oh, 2 1/8. Yeah, I told you I'm not functioning. Alright. And that is 2 3/8. If I'm not incorrect. Well, 2 3/8 is greater than 2. So that's just a little check. Yes, we're right. Well, this is how we increase the profits. So do we just say, oh, well, A, you do 1.5, B, you do 1.5? Well, no, because we have the problem of defection. Which we go into part 4. Suppose firm B Suppose A is spending 1.5 and B is spending 1.5, but then firm B reduces its spend. It defects. In fact, it defects back to its old spend. It defects back to, just for the sake of argument, really, back to a spend of 1. What happens to its profit? That's the key part of part 4. So, if you like, A is 1.5 and B is 1. What is the profit of B? We know that under cooperation the profit of B would be the same as the profit of A. It would be 2 3/8. What happens if B defects? Well, we know what the profit is. Okay. 2A minus B squared over 2 plus 2B minus B squared over 2 minus B. The difference is now that's 2 times 1.5 minus 1.5 squared over 2 plus, oh, B is now only 1, 2 times 1. Minus B is only 1, minus 1. What is that? Well, that's 3. Okay? That's 9 over 4, all over 2. That's 2. That's minus 1.5. Add all those larger integers up, and you get 3.5, I think. 9 over 8. Wow. Don't bother. It's meant to be greater. What is going on? Ah, because you are deducting
I think the
Yeah.
answer for the factor is to 1.4.
Do you want to come out and show what you're thinking? It's hard to explain.
It's just the
No, why don't you come out and
calculation.
show? It's hard to explain.
No, just the calculation.
Yeah, please. Why?
I do it with this milk.
Well, that seems convincing, doesn't it? Thank you. And that certainly is very convenient. This is 2 1/4. So that's my point. By defecting, B's profit has gone up. That's the key point. We're just illustrating the free rider problem. B says, you do the group benefit thing. It's actually in my interest to spend less. Okay. Well, that leaves us with the question in the last minutes. How might A and B solve their collective action problem? Well, Alison thinks a lot about this. You know, one thought is that the alternative to cooperating is just the non-cooperative outcome. That's worse for both. Okay? And that's the discipline. The small groups, you know, the prospect of this will enforce this behaviour. This sort of cheating behaviour just leads to this. It's plausible. I want to suggest there may be other mechanisms. What if, for example, A says to B, well, I've established a society with certain legally enforceable rules called the Tariff Fighting Fund. And the men to join this society, you have to pay in $1.5 million. And the rules of the society is that all the membership fees are used to lobby for a tariff. And the other rule of society is that if membership fees don't reach 3 million, any membership fees which have been paid in are simply returned to the contributing members. Okay, and by the way, I've already joined CSA. So this is the society. It's got 1.5 million of membership fees. I can't see how B would refuse to join. If B doesn't join, well, A will obviously just withdraw. The money will just be returned to A. I don't see any problem with B. Not only with, I don't see how B could not join in this situation. There's no coercion on the face of it. It's just, yeah. So is that a collective action problem just solved simply by that? By one of the group or set of the group saying we're doing the right thing, group optimal thing, and if you don't sort of complete it, we're not cooperating. Oh dear. You can choose group optimal or you can just choose this. And the very last question, would such methods work if there are N firms rather than just 2? Well, I'm more doubtful. Let's suppose there were not just A and B, but C, D, E, off to N firms. And let's suppose N-1 firms had signed in their membership fees to this Fighting Fund Society. And it was really up to the Nth firm. The Nth firm seems to be faced with this choice between affecting collective action or just non-cooperation. How could it resist? I think the difference here is that the Nth firm could say to these N-1 firms, I don't believe you. I don't believe you're not going to cooperate amongst yourselves if I don't sort of join in. Why don't I believe you? Well, I'm so tiny, right? My non-cooperation, my cheatiness, is only going to damage your profitability very slightly. There's no way you're going to abandon your cooperation, sort of punish me. There's no way you're going to harm yourself to punish for the slight damage, harm yourself significantly for the slight damage I've done you. So I think that's the problem in large groups. It's just not plausible. Now, I don't think that sort of response is available here. You see, if B doesn't cooperate, A has nobody to cooperate with, does it? Right? A is just by itself. It has, I guess it could still maintain A of 1.5. It could still do that in the face of B doing 1. but, its profits, I bet you, would be lower than if it didn't cooperate at all. Well, we found the profits over here, didn't we? Found them to be 2. I bet the profits will be lower. I hesitate to try to investigate that given my numerical ability today, but the profit of A is equal to A minus A squared, 2B minus B squared, and 2 minus A. Okay, 2 times 1.5 minus 1.5 squared over 2 plus 2 minus 1, 2 minus by assumption 1.5. What does that give us? That gives us 4.5 minus 9 over 4 over 2 minus 1.5. Oh, that's 3 minus 2 1/8, isn't it? That's what 9/8, sorry, 1/8. And that is equal to 7/8. Yeah, so that's bad. That's really bad. So A is not going to maintain itself in the face of B's defection. But I think if there were many firms, the group might maintain and cooperative behaviour in the face of one firm's defection. So I think, like, this is a basic message of Olson. Solving the cooperative action problem is easier when there are a few members. Larger the members, more problematic. Okay, are there any questions or comments about that? Okay, we'll leave it at that, and I'll meet some of you again. Yes.